Hello, bonjour, namaste, ni hao, and ohayo everybody. What is going on? It is Gale here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Danmachi video. And today we're back with some more Season 5 shenanigans. And we are back again with some Episode 6 content. And this time around, we're here to take a look at the extra details and the additional information that Omori has to give us on his Twitter account. Now, this is a little bit later than normal. Usually we do this, I think we usually do this second. We obviously do the reaction, then we do the breakdown, then we do this, and then we do the cut content, right? I decided to do the cut content earlier this time around because of the way it was. Of course, if you haven't checked it out already, be sure to go check it out. I'm not going to spoil anything on the cut content side of things, of course, right? You guys definitely should go and check it out though, nonetheless, for sure. But I wanted to save the extra details for a little bit later just to see what they could add, of course, right? And what extra details that Omori might give, because I thought that for this episode in particular, I felt that there was a very good chance we could see even more extra details that could be actually quite interesting and not just cut content. Because so far I feel like whenever we've had extra details, they tended to be just cut content, and so it felt like it was kind of contradictory in that sense. You know, it's not really extra details, it's just extra details that you deemed to skip out in the anime, and you have to come onto Twitter to basically tell us what the extra details are and what you skipped out on. But this time around, you know, with the way it was in the most recent episode, I feel like there's a good chance we could see something interesting here, something actually informative for us in terms of, you know, potentially Omori's point of view regarding certain decisions that he made in the light novel and so on and so forth. So of course, if you guys want to enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel for more content, all that sort of good stuff, and of course comment down below and let me know what extra detail interested you guys the most, and of course what are you guys expecting from the next episode. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say in the comments. Now let's start off with the anime side of things, the production staff first and foremost. We obviously have Omori's Twitter up as well. We'll come back to that later on. We're going to start with the production staff as we normally do and see what tips they have for us. Now, episode 6, tip number 1. The setting was that it was Welf who saved Lily from Soma Familia with Freya's charm. Welf forged the weapon, and then Izumi rescued Haruhime by herself. The bonus novel for this season's Blu-ray disc, Miniature Garden Substory, goes into great detail about the city of the state of the city at the time. Okay, this is very interesting. So Izumi is, I think, Mikoro here. I think they've kind of the way they pronounce the names is a bit different. I think it should be Mikoro here, basically. But effectively, this is what's happening. Effectively, instead of Belle being the one to help Lily, instead of and well, technically Belle didn't really do much for the whole Lily situation because he was busy training, right? It was actually Hestia who had to take the action and take the active role in that part. So yeah, that makes sense in that regards. I guess no, this must have been from way ages ago. Actually no, this would have been from the very beginning, like at the very beginning when this is referring to from season 1 when Lily got cornered by the adventurers and the red ants and stuff. It was Welf who saved Lily. Okay, that makes things more interesting. Okay, and then of course Mikoro saved Haruhime instead of Belle as well. So basically they've taken up the positions of where Belle was. They've put themselves into those roles effectively. So I'm quite interested in reading the bonus novel for the Blu-ray disc. Of course people will get their hands on it and translate it, so we'll have access to it. Of course the Blu-rays release in the first Blu-ray releases in I think February, and it contains episodes 1 to 9, and then the second Blu-ray is in March. So we'll probably get the first sub-story, of course this miniature garden story, probably in the first Blu-ray disc, and then the second Blu-ray disc will probably have another sub-story potentially, or a short story for us to look into. But that's actually pretty interesting. I'm actually quite interested to read that sub-story as well and see, you know, what Omori has done to basically try and, you know, fit everything into Freya's timeline effectively, you could say. Potentially the real timeline if you think about it. No, I'm just joking. I think it'll be quite funny to see how he's managed to do it. The thing is, right, that's one thing I will say, the I've been enjoying the memes of a lot. It's just like how people have just taken it in their stride to make it so that, you know, people are actually saying that this is the real timeline. You know, who is Hestia? Our poor rabbit has been cursed and stuff. It's been good. The memes have been good. Episode 6, tip number 2. Belt's Realis Freeze is a skill that allows him to grow exponentially the more his feelings for eyes grow. Hestia feared if eyes rejected the skill would or rejected Belle, the skill would lose its effectiveness and Belle would be truly taken over by Freya. Now, This is something I even said in my reaction video, and actually I also mentioned it in my breakdown video more so. I don't understand the animation team's urge. Well, they've tweeted about it, great and all. Mention it by its name. I don't understand why they don't. It's something I've noticed them doing it quite often. Is like sometimes they'll mention it. Of course, it's not like they've never mentioned it. Of course, they've mentioned it in the past and stuff. But it feels like whenever they can not mention it or don't need to mention it, or they feel like they don't have to mention it, they don't mention the name of the skill. And I feel like that's such a you know, it's not like I personally don't mind. Considering how much I raged about Ice fans last week and stuff like that, this feels like something an Ice fan would say, but like it just feels like it's a little bit detrimental to the core aspect of the series, or one of the core aspects of the series, which is Belle's underdog story, thanks to the help of the skill. And the skill is so important to the story because it is basically what links Belle to Ice and links Belle to his growth as well. So rather than just calling it a skill, or the skill, remind people of that skill, and so that people know what it is actually linked to. Because, you know, people might not be you know, completely engaged with the show 100% of the time. You know, we're nerds about this story. We love this story, so we know everything in and out for the most part, right? Of course, you'll miss a couple of details here and there. No, nobody's perfect in that sense, unless you have eidetic memory or photographic memory to remember every single detail. But realistically, this is one of those key things that I think a majority of fans would probably know about. But if you want to get those casual fans and those general fans also interested and well versed with the skill, you have to name the skill regularly, and if not on a common basis and a regular basis. I think it's something that would help out massively, and it would be pretty useful. It's just a shame that, of course, you mention it here on Twitter, but you don't mention it in the anime is my problem. That's my only biggest concern there. Now we move on to tip number 3. Charming Uranos, who uses prayers to stop the dungeon monsters from advancing above ground, could lead to the collapse of the labyrinth city, Orario. Freya negotiated with him to not get in the way on the condition that she help him conquer the labyrinth and subjugate the black dragon. Now, I love that they included this in the anime. This is not really an extra detail per se. I guess the first aspect, the first line basically of, you know, Uranos being the one to basically prevent the monsters from coming overground, basically, thanks to his prayers, is actually not something that was mentioned in the anime. Is good because, again, that helps, you know, answer people's questions as to why Uranos was not charmed. But I mean, I'm glad that the second part was included in the anime, the whole subjugation of the Black Dragon. Again, this season onwards, it's going to become more and more important, you know. Obviously, we know Freya is just a stepping stone for what is the end goal, which is the One-Eyed Black Dragon, right? We know that Freya is just a villain that for the time being, but the end goal, the main villain, the main antagonist of the series is the One-Eyed Black Dragon. It's something we've not spoken about that much in the anime, or even in the light novels for that matter, up until this arc, effectively, I would say. It's been mentioned here and there. We saw it being mentioned in season 2, of course, right, as part of the 3 great quests. But beyond that, it's been rare for us to even hear about it, right? Even in Sword or Toria, yes, you hear about it a little bit more there, but it's still not as much as you would think it is, you know, being mentioned. It's only from this season onwards where you start noticing the Black Dragon being referred to more and more often. You know, we had the Ice and Albert scene that wasn't in the anime, of course, but it was obviously there in volume 15. You obviously had the Albert statue scene at the Hero's Bridge with Belle and Seer. Then you obviously have this, and it's gonna keep happening. You know, the fact that we've already got 3 effective mentions up until this point, 2 in the anime, 3 in the light novels up until this point, shows that the increasing importance that there is imposed on the One-Eyed Black Dragon and its end game basically status. Its end game status is the best way to put it, right? It's going to be very, very important. So I'm glad that they included that in the anime. It's very, very good. I assume this is about status snitch. Episode 6, tip number 4. Let's translate this. A magical item that can update the status of other factions' relatives, the status snitch. It can only be used to update ability values and cannot be used to rank up. However, it is a rare item with very few units produced, and as it is often used not in a healthy way, such as to poach familiar members. So we saw this in the anime. I obviously kind of backed status snitch in some ways, obviously, right? Because I said that yes, it is a a bad item technically, because most people will probably use it for the purpose Freya used it, which was to poach Belle from Hestia, right? And so will other people's, and even they're saying the same here. There is also a good chance that status snitch can also be used for the better, because let's say you're in a dungeon, right? And you're struggling, or you're fighting over ground with a monster, and you've not had the opportunity to update your status up until that point, right? And you've obviously accumulated a lot of status points, and if there's no other goddess or god, it's a very, very peculiar scenario, but there is a very good chance that it could happen, and I think there might be a chance it could happen in the future. But for now, let's assume that, you know, there is a case where you're not with your god or goddess, and there's some other god or goddess, and they have status snitch. That'll come into the benefit of the person to help them defeat the monster. Again, like I said, it's a rare situation and a rare scenario, but there is good to be had as well from the status snitch as well. I sound like a Freya Familia member by saying that, you know, oh, status snitch was good to be used. Nah, but I'm being serious on that front. I think it makes sense, to be honest. There is a good chance it could be used. All right. Let's take a look at tip number 5 now. Freya Familia's healers and medicine men are called Andrimner, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in addition to their nicknames. Its name is derivative from the saying such as filling the warriors and his back looks sooty from overwork, and the capable Heath is its leader. However, it is also one of the 2 major dead fish eyes in the city alongside Asfi. Okay, yeah, the fact that Asfi is overworked, it's the same with Heath. I mean, to be fair, it makes sense. You see, Heath has to heal up everybody alongside the other Familia members after their battle to the death every single day. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. Now we move on to tip number 6 before we move on to well, this is the final tip before we move on to Fujino Omori's tip, you know, talks and you know, his talks and thoughts is the best way to put it. The bedroom scene with Belle. Here Freya is drinking tea and not the usual wine. According to Omori sensei, in front of the man you like, it is tea, not alcohol, which was specified at the scenario meeting. Makes sense to make yourself appear better. I think it makes sense, I suppose, in that regards. That's fair, Omori sensei. That is fair. Alright, let's take a look at what Omori sensei has to say. This is going to be very interesting to read, because I feel like he's going to give us some interesting information here. Fujino Omori's tweets on a weekly basis, baby. Oh, I say weekly basis. This guy tweets on a fucking daily basis, an hourly basis nearly, man. I don't think this guy sleeps. He sleeps with Twitter open. A little addition this week. Everyone who has become infatuated with Freya, unaware of their enslavement, is being subjected to a forced misconception. Anything that is inconvenient for Freya will be misinterpreted. When a misperception or misinterpretation causes a contradiction in the settings, the memory is distorted so that the previous and following memories are forgotten. So for example, with the whole Aina situation, right, where she found the logbook and everything, Freya immediately comes in knowing that it's a misinterpretation, clears it up, and destroys all memory of what just happened, basically. So effectively, she's taking away any opportunity of them potentially breaking free from the charm, any opportunity, any possibility of it being you know, if any possible of it happening. All right, Freya Familia told to Belle. If Belle had joined Freya Familia, it would be so realistic that it would seem like it really happened. So even though Belle had no real collection of it, he thought it was possible. Freya is such a goddess that she can at least mimic the observation of parallel worlds, constructing a virtual world. So this is I agree with Omori on this, that, you know, the way Freya basically constructed everything was spot on. Obviously, this is thanks to observation and by extension Aina's logbook as well. But the way she set up everything was effectively to negate the possibility of Belle feeling that anything was out of the ordinary, which obviously I mean, it's not like he didn't feel that everything was out of the ordinary, considering he still thinks he's part of the Hestia Familia. But because of how everything felt real, the way everybody was gaslighting him into believing that this is your reality, this is the truth, this is what's actually happened, and how you joined the Familia and everything, and how you leveled up and all, this is effectively ingraining in Belle's brain that, hang on a second, maybe this actually happened and I've actually lost my memories. So it becomes a bit of that whole thing of it is basically gaslighting. We've been saying it for the last couple of days. It is gaslighting to another degree, of course, right? It is gaslighting to another degree. So this is of course status snitch as well. He's talking about status snitch again. You can update the abilities of relatives other than of other gods. It is not possible to manifest or rank up magic skills, so that's another point to be made. You can obviously not rank up. You can't level up thanks to status snitch. You can't also manifest or rank up any skills you have as well. It is used when you want to turn a familiar member who is in a state of limbo, like when Lily was in the Soma Familia and she was with the Hestia Familia primarily, against you. You can also entice the familiar, make them betray you and send them back to their former head god, or convert them, etc. Of course, this is very interesting because obviously this is very much disliked by the gods who run a familiar. There is he is a relative of the status thief that appeared in Sword Rotoria and is a rather shady item. It was circulating in the city of Rivera, which has something of a black market side to it, so Freya quickly seized it after charming it on a large scale. So yeah, they were talking about this being there were in Rivera, there's people who run a black market, and of course one of the things that they have is of course the status thief and status snitch items. And of course Freya, when she went down to charm everybody, got this and obviously used it to her advantage basically as well. Okay, I was kind of expecting a little bit more from Omori there. I thought that he'd give a little bit more background information on some of the light novel stuff and everything. These are his thoughts on episode 6. Thank you for episode 6. Bel's expression of doubting his memories was really good. Freya is supposed to be scary, but Seer's innocent side is visible. I'm grateful to the staff and cast for expressing such delicate content. Please look forward to episode 7. No, I'm very much looking forward to it, and I think they did a good job, especially towards the end, like I said, with the whole Freya thing. Again, you have to look at it from a nuanced point of view. The whole double personality side of things, I've said it before. It's like you have this girl has two personalities. You have to she kind of lost that second personality with Seer when Bel rejected her, but it's still there. It's not like she's completely killed it off. It's just been buried inside of her. But of course, with Bel's small motions and movements, it's coming back to fruition. It's coming back to the surface, of course, as we saw at the end of the last episode, of course, as well, right? But no, it's going to be very interesting to see, of course, right, as to what ends up happening. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens in episode 7 as well. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously Firebolt, by the way, this is actually a good point. Firebolt is insanely strong against opponents of the same rank or lower. It performs extremely well even in melee combat. It's almost unfair. Van and his friends are more skilled than Bel right now, so if it wasn't a big battle, Van and his friends would be able to win. So that's a potential, teaser for potentially what might happen in a future battle sequence in the next couple of episodes, potentially. But no, it's all good. I'm very, very happy with the way the last episode was done, of course, right? And the fact that, the animation team didn't have to basically go over like a bunch of cut content, and of course Omori himself has to, give such little additional information is a good thing in a way. But of course I would love more additional information about like certain things, such as, exactly what went down and everything. But I guess that's why they're kind of selling it as a sub-story basically alongside the Blu-ray disc, as a bonus story alongside the Blu-ray disc. I'm actually quite interested in reading that when it does come out, for sure. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, all that sort of good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody. Bye bye.